All right, class, happy Wednesday to you. So what's been going on behind the scenes here? Well, I just took like 5 pictures of myself on accident because I kept pressing the wrong button on my phone. So go ahead, you can say it. Way to go, boomer. I know, right? Boom. Roasted. You got me. Technically, I am not nearly old enough to be a baby boomer, but that was definitely a boomer moment, taking pictures of myself instead of starting the video. So today our video will not be nearly as long, and the assignment really is going to have you working more, but it's going to be real fun. And I wish we could have done this one in class, because this one was going to be like our speed dating, and you'll see what I mean in a second. So really briefly, if you can open up that workbook, the Emotional Health Workbook, I just want to loop around to one section that applies to what we're going to be discussing or the activity you'll be doing today. And so you'll want to go to the end of section 2, which is on page 11. And we're going to be just going over the last part of that paragraph, okay? Under the I feel statements, it starts, part of emotional awareness is learning to help others get their needs met. If you caused their strong or difficult emotion, it might be helpful to have them say an I feel statement to you. So we worked on I feel statements on Monday. However, if you are not the cause of their feelings, another tool called active listening, and you all knew this so well on our pretest, can be helpful. The act of mindfully hearing and attempting to comprehend means understand, the meaning of the words spoken by another person in conversation or speech is active listening. Developing active listening skills at an early age will help you deal with your and others' strong or difficult emotions. An added benefit will come as you enter the workforce, as employers strongly value an emotionally intelligent person. So, real quick, just we'll take some attendance here to see what students are here today. So obviously, Mrs. Van Hooley's here. That was the FedEx truck. It's my neighbors behind me. So let's see here. We've got Paul is here today. Paul, active as ever, is running on the porch. His running form's not that great, but he does have some limitations on his flexibility. And then Paul and Paula are taking advantage of being able to sit wherever they want. Today they decided to sit by all the Jolly Ranchers. But they don't know as those are earned, not just given. But, you know, they'll come along. They'll come along. I know the rest of you will be like, come on, Paul and Paula. So, today's activity, which is loaded up in your assignments, is an active listening activity. This one is going to be best if you have to do this with a parent or a grandparent or an aunt or auntie. I don't know. Everyone kind of seems like that one gets pronounced in different ways. An uncle. You could do like a much older sibling. You could even do a younger sibling or one the same age as you. I guess you never know what they're going to say. But so everyone go ahead. I'm going to just kind of count down to 10. If you can pull up that active listening sheet, if possible. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You're going to see it has some extensive instructions and then only 2 points. Okay, everything is worth 5 points unless I tell you otherwise. So this worksheet's worth 10. So I'm just going to read through the active listening activity. So your partner is next to you. If we were in the classroom, so you'd pick you, whoever your partner is, your mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, aunt, uncle, brother, sister. Can't be your dog or cat, though, unless you can truly talk to them. If you can, I want you to video record that and send it to me. Otherwise, has to be a person that can talk, okay? So they are going to be the speaker first, and you're going to be the listener or the interviewer, okay? Ignore number 2. Actually, you know what? I'm changing the directions real quick. Number 2, answer this question. So the speaker, this is the person that you are listening to. You're going to say to them, tell me one thing about yourself that might surprise me. And then let them talk about it for 5 minutes. Your job is to listen, okay? And give them nonverbal feedback that you are listening. So that means like make eye contact. So when they're talking, you're looking at them, right? And you can be like nodding your head like you understand, okay? Don't interrupt. You can ask questions though. So if they stop talking, you can ask them a leading question to get going. So the goal is that they talk about this thing that might surprise you for 5 minutes, okay? And if they stumble, the first thing is just let them kind of sit quietly for a minute or two and see if they, maybe not a minute or two, but like 10, count to 10 in your head, not out loud, and then just let them, they might keep going. If they stop and they're kind of not sure where to go, a good active listener will ask them a prompting question. So you will see on this page, the second part of it has prompting or open-ended questions. So you could say like, well, how did that make you feel? Or what if it's an exciting thing, like, you know, you didn't know that I used to, maybe your grandfather tells you, you didn't know that I used to ride dirt bikes and jump from hill to hill. And you could say, oh, you know, so he might tell you that, and be like, did you ever get hurt, Grandpa? Did you ever hurt anyone else? How did you afford to have that motor or that dirt bike? Do you know how to fix dirt bikes, right? So you're asking them all these open-ended questions that will get them talking more, okay? So that's the only thing you do, the only talking you do as the listener is asking them questions that get them talking more, okay? 5 minutes. So set a timer. Try and listen to them for the whole 5 minutes, okay? Then that this exercise works if we had been doing it in class. You switch roles. So you go from being the listener, you get to be the talker. So now you get to tell whoever it is you're working with a story, something about you that might surprise them. So I'm not going to do this for a whole 5 minutes, but I will tell you guys a quick something about me that might surprise you. I love this story for its shock value. Okay, ready? So something about me that might surprise you is that I am a chicken mass murderer. What does that mean anyway, right? Is your teacher a psycho? I would say no. So what does this mean? When I was a child, and I mean really young, I was in kindergarten. So I was 5 years old, turning 6. My mom and my 2 brothers and I, so me, 3 kids, and my mom. No, 3 kids and my mom. We moved up into my uncle's farm because some of you I might have told you, or you may have kind of gathered this. Parents, they're divorced now, and they didn't have a good marriage when I was young. And so they were always like fighting and moving in and out from each other, breaking up and stuff. Anyway, so it was another breakup. We moved up to my uncle's farm. My mom took me and my brothers. And on my uncle's farm, he had cows and chickens at that time. And if you've ever been on a farm, you may have noticed it's literally this block like this. It's 12 inches by 12 inches of salt, and it's white or brown, okay? And you give it to the cows. They need the salt to help keep them healthy. And I didn't know all this as a kid. All I knew was they had this big block of salt that they licked all the time. And as a kid, you just assume that you think like, oh, the cows love their salt block, okay? So you assign this feeling to the cows loving salt. We also had chickens on the farm. And the chickens, they did not have a salt block, okay, which seemed just unfair. Life was not fair to those chickens because they did not have the salt. So my brother and I, who's a little younger than I, we determined that for the chickens to live a full, happy life, they needed to get a salt block. And so we did a little investigating. What we found was we didn't think the chickens could actually lick the salt block like the cows, because their tongue, if you can even call it that, like didn't extend out of their beak, and looks like a bell. It's like nubby on the end. So we're like, oh, well, instead of thinking, I guess that means they don't need the salt block, we figured out a way for the chickens to get salt. And so what we determined was we should give the chickens rock salt. Do you guys know what rock salt is? Okay, if you don't, rock salt is the salt that you put down when it snows and is cold and icy. Hey, there's my oldest son and his girlfriend. I'm holding class, so be quiet. Shh, be quiet. They're so loud, obnoxious. Quiet, I said. Anyway, so you put that down on the ground so that the ice melts and you don't slip on it. has a very high salt content, and some of it is actually poison. Anyway, so we mixed that salt into the chicken feed because they're not egg-laying chickens. We were actually raising these chickens. They're called roasters. They become the chickens that you eat. But they were still young. Anyway, Richard, I said be quiet. So we mixed this rock salt in with their food that they were eating. And because my mom fed them every night, but we always set up what they ate. Anyway, so my mom went and fed them. The next morning, my grandma came from the city and discovered like 100 dead chickens. And, you know, she came in the house screaming. She said the devil came. The devil killed all the chickens. I wasn't there for it. I was at school, but my mom told me it was quite the scene. Anyway, so they called the vet to figure out why the chickens all died, and he found the rock salt. And when we got home from school, my mom asked us about it, and we're like, oh yeah, we gave the chickens the salt. And they determined that all, like 100 chickens died from heart attacks. So that is how I became a chicken mass murderer. And I'm sure you did not know that about me. Anyway, so that is the type of stuff you might be able to find out from your parents or your grandparents. And so I want you, that was about 3 minutes. Anyway, so I'm not going to talk longer than that, but that's what I want you to go through this exercise with them. It's called active listening. So you're going to listen to their whole story without interrupting, without giving your opinion. Laugh. Like if you found that story funny and you're laughing, laugh. Like enjoy the story. But let them do the talking, okay? Just ask some questions that keeps them going for a full 5 minutes. And then you get to be the talker afterwards. And then the rest of that worksheet is, you know, you can just answer those questions. What's one thing you learned about the person you listened to? So if you don't have anyone that you can interview, you can use the chicken story, okay? That's fine. The only sad part is I don't get to interview you back. So maybe if you use my story when we are back together, I get to hear a story about you, okay? Is that a deal? Deal. Oh, we just touched. We're supposed to be social distancing. Gah, coronavirus. Just kidding. Second question, what did I learn about my listening skills? So I did this with my 6th graders last semester. And some of them were they were very like honest. They're like, wow, what I learned about my listening skills is that they suck. I had a really hard time listening to 5 minutes to somebody else for 5 straight minutes without interrupting them or without like zoning out. And I thought that was not everyone. Some people were really good listeners. But it's just kind of like, oh, this is a skill I could work on. Because like I said, this skill is something that you will use for the rest of your life in every type of relationship or like just between you and somebody else. And employers really do nowadays. You know, I used to work in the business world. They look for people that already have these skills and don't have to learn them because it makes you somebody that everyone wants to work with. Anyway, that's all I got. If you have any questions about this, shoot me an email. When you're done, make sure to send that assignment back to me so I can check it and give you feedback. I still miss all of you very much. It is weird, truly weird, not being able to see you every day, give you high fives, check in with you. And so I truly, truly miss that part of our interactions. I do hope that we will only have to be off, for 2 more weeks plus spring break, and that when we come back, we will all be together. Looking forward, hey, Miss Van Hooley, what are we going to do when we get back? The Friday that first day we had off, the new badminton rackets came, and they're awesome. New volleyballs came, and they're awesome. New footballs came, and they're awesome. So my plan is we're going to hit the ground running with badminton. We will have to loop back to sex ed in person. I know, I was just pausing. Why am I pausing? To hear all the grumbles and laughing and giggles and groaning. But we're probably going to make that much shorter than I had anticipated. But we'll have to loop back to that. So anyway, have a great next couple days, and the next lesson that you'll get from me will be on Monday, and we'll be hitting depression, which is depressing, but it'll be really informational. And then after that, we're going to be starting more of an active type unit. And so I look forward to doing that with you all. In the meantime, in between, again, if you have any questions, I check our classroom every day. I would be more than happy to answer them. If I needed to make another video on just whatever, I can do that. And then stay tuned for some like Kahoots and stuff coming up because we'll be studying for our, well, we'll talk about that on Monday. All right. Have a great one. I miss you all.